The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv.
From yet another storm coming.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what it's going to be. Weather forecasters are saying it's going to be all rain with heavy winds. You got some weather forecasters saying that there's going to be heavy snow coming.
Mix of snow.
Yeah, some say it's a mix. Some say we're going to get a coating to 2 inches.
Well,
some say we're going to get a coating to 3 inches. Nobody knows. It's great to be a weatherman.
That's right. Never get fired. You can be wrong all the time. You never
Exactly.
get fired. So the best weatherman's your eyeballs. Get up
That's
tomorrow and you'll see what it's doing.
Exactly. Or you'll hear what it's doing.
That's
one
right.
or the other. It's going to be funny.
And there's a parade in Newport or something like that.
I think it's the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah, that's annual. It's good. It's going to be a difficult parade.
Yeah, it's going to be under wind, rain, or snow.
So what you do is they all stay in a bar and eat corned beef and cabbage.
There you go.
That's what they do.
That works. So it's been a quiet news week. I've been so surprised.
Yeah, but there's been some leakies. We're getting some little leakies about some things.
Yeah.
We got some leakies. We got a little bit of information, and we're gonna look deeper into this. But the class war continues apparently. We heard that there were some people getting $19,000 pay raises. $19,000. Can you imagine that? I can't. I mean, we're looking at it. Look, we talked about Paul's speech with the trained harp seals. That we're in great financial shape. We're not. He's paying he admittedly is paying things with opera money, which creates structural deficits. We have no idea the full effect of the Diamond and the Durfee. We do know that people are suffering massive hits in inflation. People can't gas their cars up anymore. They said chicken's going up 13%. You'll be paying $24 for a chicken sandwich now. And people can't live. The people of Fall River, remember, the average person in Fall River per capita income is $25,000. Somebody gets a $19,000 pay raise. Think about that. Think about it. Just let that run through your mind. That's in my head, it's about $365 and 38 cents or so per week, okay? Per week. Yeah. For a pay raise. There are people in the city that are working a 40-hour week and aren't making that. They're not clearing that, at least. And the thing is, it's not only one individual. I did a little digging. I got a little information that this is going to be given to a few people. This is outrageous. I mean, you can tell where Paul Coogan comes from. The place that has no lid on spending. Just spend whatever you want, and because it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. We give it to you. Even though it's not for the kids, for the kids, for the kids. It's for all the fat bureaucrats and your friends. That's where the money goes. It's not going into education. Because we should be #1 in the United States with the money we spend on education. And with all the tier after tier after tier of administration. Because one thing we've proven, government does not operate as a meritocracy. It's not, your salary isn't based on your performance. As a matter of fact, it's inversely proportional, because the more incompetent you are, the more assistance you get and the higher pay you get. So we're getting $19,000, and I've already heard the excuse they're going to use. I think you've heard it before. We can't get any people. We can't get any people. We can't keep people. We can't keep these. We can't keep this. We can't keep that. We can't keep this. Well, guess what? The individuals who are getting these pay raises and working for the city for years, they didn't go anywhere. This is a payoff to friends. You think that a mayor with an ounce of fiduciary responsibility to the people of the city he is the mayor of would say, listen, we're putting a lockdown on everything here. We're not going to talk about massive pay raises to anybody. We got an inflationary cycle that is killing everybody. And I'm not saying don't give somebody obviously a small pay raise. 19 grand. 19 grand. I just had a meeting yesterday of the Fall River Retirees Association. You know what the median income for the 2,500 retirees is? $22,000 a year. This guy's getting a pay raise that's almost as much as what the median average income is for the 2,500 retirees. Granted, there are some people, new ones, that have high pensions, but if they live long enough, that pension will erode too. The fact is, this is outrageous. How can people that are averaging $22,000 a year pay for gas, pay for their heat, which has gone up astronomically, pay for their electricity? Everything's gone up. Listen, the last figure, and I think it went up, because now the inflation rate's up to 7.9, you might as well say 8%. They said it's going to cost them $5,000 a year. So do the math. That's their gross pension, 22.
Yep.
Take 5 from that. They're down to 17 grand. 17 grand. These people are going to be destitute. They're going to lose their houses, and there seems to be no understanding of what the average person in Fall River. To give out these raises is a slap in the face to every taxpayer. There's absolutely no restriction on the way these things go, and it may not even be legal the way it was bargained. So from what I hear, so this is just another example of the people who, and if the council approves these things, it will be a disgrace. They're not representing you. I want to see the council entertain a waiver for people with an income below $25,000 for all of these things. You want to spend your money? Give it back to the people who truly need it. Let's have that great word that all the liberals love, equity. Let's have some equity here. Let's put the burden proportionately based on their ability to pay. I want to see some kind of resolution to do something for the people who are going to get absolutely eviscerated with this scenario we have now. A record inflation, record high, the highest gas prices in history. How the hell can somebody afford that? How can somebody afford that? I mean, I just gassed up, and I wasn't empty. And I put $45 in, and I don't even have a full tank.
Yep.
I'm still below a full tank.
And it went up 36 cents in the past 5 days.
Yep. Yeah. So this is the kind of things we get the info. So we're on it.
Now, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, there are 3 people who may be getting this large raise in 3 different departments after they've gotten a promotion. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. From what I've gotten so far, there is one individual I know that got a promotion, and then he's going to get a pay raise. Now, I don't know if that 19,000 figure is for his jump from getting a promotion, and then 19,000 on top of whatever he got, which means he's getting more than 19,000, right. Or if it's 19,000, period.
Right.
And the other individuals. But this is a whole bunch of individuals. And ironically enough, they hold some positions that are influential in dealing with the city politics. So again, this looks like a buyout. And look, let's get back to that lame excuse. It's always we can't keep people. Well, tough luck. Can't keep people, get them. You can't keep people. I used to hear that about EMS. We can't keep people. You're right, you can't keep people. But the fact is, we can't afford it. If you can't get, you don't pay Boston rent in Fall River because they can't afford it. They used to say about EMTs, because I know a little bit about that because I was on the ambulance. I was one of the first people to be on the ambulance when EMS was given to the Fall River Fire Department. I was an EMT, and I rode on an ambulance. I rode until I made lieutenant. I used to get stuck in there. It was like a punishment. I got EMT certified, so it was like if an EMT called out, they'd go, "Oh, who's on duty that's an EMT? Yeah, stick him in the ambulance." So, I know it. And look, it's a tough job in Fall River. You're humping people down, 3-deckers all, it's tough. They called for help. The old days, we didn't really get that much help, but you had to, you're carrying people down, winding 3 days, trying to do CPR on them. It's a tough job, tough physically, because this city does not have, all single-family houses. You're not, walking one step into the house and bringing in stretchers. You're carrying stretchers downstairs, and it's tough. That's the reason we don't keep them, because I don't care how much you pay them. If they can get a job down at the Cape or in some town where they're going to get as much, maybe more or a little bit less, they're gone. They're gone. Because why would you want to throw out your back, and you can't do that job as you get older because it's a tough job physically. And I mean, look, it's just a matter of, it's simple, unless you're crazy to stay there. It's like firefighting. We had a lot of firefighters that got laid off. First time around, they went to Brookline, Newton, places like that. They got more money for doing half the work. They don't have anywhere near the fires Fall River does. Fall River was always one of the big, I don't know what the stats are now, and I'll be perfectly truthful about that. But when I was the president of the union, we were always we had the highest volume of fires of any city of our size. The only cities that ever beat us were Boston, of course, which is gigantic, and once in a while, Worcester or Springfield would be ahead. But we were always number 3 or number 2 in the state. I remember one time I went before the council and to give that example, because I still remember the numbers. I remember numbers very well. I gave them the arson statistics for that quarter from the state fire marshal for that period, reporting period. And I said, New Bedford had 28 arson fires. Fall River had 545 at the time. So, this is a busy department. It's a busy city, especially for its size. And so these guys went to Newton, they went to Brookline, went to a few other places. Then they came back, they got laid off again because, as usual, they always penalize us in public safety, bailed, and most of them stayed now. I know a lot of firefighters who went to Brookline, went to Newton, and now they're there permanently. Ford went there. Why should you be at a department where you're facing a layoff every 2 days, where you can go to a department that's got, they don't even hesitate to buy equipment in Brookline. They don't have anywhere near the amount of fires. So they're working less, getting paid more, and you never have to worry about getting laid off or a pay raise. This phone is like, it attacks me here. But that's the thing. That's a con job. Because if you look at it, most of the people, these aren't new hires. Let's make this perfectly clear. These are not new hires. These are people who have been working for the city for a long time. So to use the excuse that we can't get somebody for these jobs when you had somebody waiting for that job for a decade or two. Now, one of these individuals, and I know the other individual, they've been working for the city for years. They're waiting to become the supervisor. They're waiting to become the head of this particular department. So don't tell me you can't get him. He's been waiting there for years to get this job. So now all of a sudden, oh yeah, you know, if we don't give him a $19,000 pay raise, he's taking a walk. Really? Really? You're not just urinating on our head when you say that, you're defecating on it. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. And there's not even the most feeble attempt to control spending in this era. We're looking at, did we hear last time? Structural deficits, structural deficits, structural. Now we're facing 2 debt overrides, a massive inflation, which, by the way, all the economists are now saying that it's gonna swing into a full-blown recession.
Right.
Which is catastrophic. So, I mean, so what do? We do what the school department always does: spend more money, hire more people, pay them more, because we don't care. We're getting our money. And who will get laid off? If they say cut, they'll lay off all the people that get low salaries because they're not connected. And we'll suffer a reduction in service, and all the fat cats, all the people like Stephen Colbert that are driving around on a $150,000 Tesla, and all the harp seals that were over at the State of the City address going, ooh, 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 you know, they're going to stay. So, you know, people, when you get your bill and you can't afford basic necessities and you're going to have to make choices, remember that in the next election.
We have a very short memory span in Fall River.
We'll remind them.
Very short memory span. But, you know, it's interesting you brought up the school department. I heard, get this name, former Mayor Ed Lambert speaking on WSAR.
Really?
About accountability in education. I wanted to puke.
Accountability. Where was the accountability when he was the man?
I don't know, but he said that he's in charge now of the Massachusetts Business Initiative for Education or something like that.
Was that another $100,000 pay raise for him?
Probably. And Pat had nothing but glowing things to say about Ed, which is fine. Because remember, Ed was the dancing mayor. He kept everyone happy.
Yeah. Well, he didn't keep everybody happy. He didn't keep the retirement system happy because he tanked it when he was the man. He tanked the retirement system, skimming money.
He was talking about how now, you know, 90% of the money for the school department, like in Fall River, comes from the state. No, I don't want to hear that 90% comes from the state. I want to talk about the other 10% that you've upped because you've given us 90%.
Yeah, because 10% of a larger figure is more money.
Exactly.
He has it. Well, I guess he wasn't a math major. That's right. He was a political science major.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, they have BS 101, BS 102, BS 103, and BS 104. That's what they get in political science. So, look, he's another creature of a swamp creature. School committee, state rep, mayor, now a $300,000 or $400,000 a year job in the educational system. They always find a nice soft place to land. And in the educational system, that's where the most money is. It's a really target-rich environment for you to get a pay raise because, you know, they have just no restrictions. Education reform basically gave them a carte blanche and a blank check.
That's what they were talking about, education reform. Education reform demanded accountability. And, you know, that's how we came about with MCAS, because MCAS shows us where the students are not getting the education that they need and why the school system isn't providing it. It's not punitive. It's not punitive, but it's not punitive, but it's punitive. You know what I mean?
But listen, we all know this. They're the greatest con artists in the world. How long have we had education reform? I can't even remember.
And that was created under Ed Lambert when he was state rep.
Yeah. And when he was a state rep, not a mayor.
Not a mayor.
Not a mayor.
When he was a state rep.
Exactly, not a mayor. So that's how far? How many mayors have we had since Ed Lambert? And this was when he was a state rep before he was the mayor.
Right.
We've had education so far back, I can't even remember that we've had it So where has been this cry of accountability when it was established for accountability been for the last 30 years? Nowhere. And just like now, oh, we need accountability and we have to do this and it's not punitive. What are they going to do with the MCATs? You've already heard it. There's a movement to get rid of them because, you know, this is a scam. Oh, we want to give these tests to see where students are. And that's a very, very good reason to give testing. You should make sure that children are being educated properly. However, look what happened in Baltimore. They give a reading comprehension test. They find out that you got 71 people that graduating from high school that read at a kindergarten level, and then another 45 at first grade. And the average was middle school level, and 77% of the people did not read even at middle school level. So what did they do? They had a test. Well, we're going to graduate everybody because their academic officer, which is another job they should create here, said, you know, if we don't graduate, it'll be punitive. We're going to graduate everybody, even if they read at the kindergarten level. So we're going to graduate, give a high school diploma to somebody that's a functional illiterate and figure out why they can't get a job and they become criminals. You say, well, you know what's punitive? Not educating children in schools so they can go on and find a decent job and get a career.
Right.
Because somebody who can't fundamentally read and write is not really going to get a lot of job opportunity. There's not a lot of jobs you can get, even at the entry level, even at the level of being in a program to train you, an apprenticeship program, if you can't read and write. I mean, I don't know very many things that you can do if you can't read. You can't read an instruction manual, even on a vocational. If you become a tech, you have to read blueprints, you have to read stuff, you have to read things.
Let's take it back to basics.
Yeah.
How about reading the job application?
Yeah, I mean filling it out.
Or
yeah.
filling it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So you got issues there. And you know, all this education reform stuff, I'm going to tell you right now, because Ed brought this up and I remember this. He said, we had to build new schools because we had students that were meeting in the basements of these schools next to the bathrooms, having their lunch down there and doing their gym down there. I remember that.
Yeah.
We didn't have our lunch down there. We had our lunch in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I remember that. And I'll tell you right now, we did pretty damn good.
Well,
we did pretty damn good. Yeah. You know, and back then we had high-performing students, as a matter of fact, so much so that we had special programs run in all of the regular elementary schools, not just select, in all the regular elementary schools. And you did great. Yeah. And we were doing very well with more students, more teachers, less money, old buildings.
Yeah.
Because what? Buildings don't teach students.
You're right. And let's just put things in perspective, because one thing they teach them in political science is always take credit for anything that's good and always blame somebody else for something that's bad. Eddie Lambert had nothing to do with we had to build schools. The Education 2000 initiative was created during the Carlton Viveris administration and was the brainchild of the Fall River Regional Task Force Subcommittee, which I was on. And Eddie Lambert was not the mayor. Those schools got built later, and some of them got built during his administration. But that's like when mayors take credit for fire trucks that the federal government pays for. And they're there going, look at the fire trucks I got for the city. You didn't get anything for the city. You know, it was a handout from the feds. And that's the key. That's what politicians do the best. Look what I did, and most of the time, they didn't do it. All they do is spend money and try to con you. The city's beautiful. Let me thank this developer from Naples. Let me thank this developer from Newton. Let me thank this developer. You know what's missing? Did they ever move to Fall River? How many of their families have ever moved to Fall River? You're talking about market rate housing? Who the hell's going to come to Fall River? We got a report that there was an assault at Cuss School. We're looking into that. We're looking for a video, and there's a video of an assault. and nothing was done about it. There's all kinds of complaints about war zones in our schools.
How about the child that committed suicide or attempted to commit suicide?
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
And I think you can corroborate that.
Oh,
You know that's a fact.
that one I know for a fact. That one I know for a
one's
fact.
definitely factual.
That one's definitely factual. I know it for a fact. I've been involved in this, and according to what I was told, the school department seems to be very resistant on answering the complaints.
What a surprise! You mean like the school department down in Virginia that swept the 2 rapes under the rug?
Yep.
Yeah, well, here you go again. This is the product of autonomy and education reform. It's the exact antithesis of what Eddie Lambert says. Education reform created no accountability to them because they are accountable only to themselves.
That's the problem.
And when you're expected to police yourself and you're a politician, that's like putting the fox in the hen house, because as Abraham Lincoln said, you can tell the true character of a man by what he does when nobody's looking. And the problem with the school department is they never let anybody look.
That's it. Keep it all hidden. Bury it. Bury it.
As I said, you were involved in that. You know that's factual. So it's a pretty critical and sad state of affairs when we have students in a school being bullied to the point they're contemplating suicide. That is a serious issue, and it should be a public issue.
And here's
it should
what I was
not
told.
be in a back room of the superintendent's office, the school committee, or anybody else. There should be a public discussion on the state of safety in schools for our children.
When I brought this information to the administration, here's what I was told. The Fall River school system has 0 tolerance for bullying. What are you doing about it? 0 tolerance, but what are you doing about it? You don't suspend anyone. You don't expel them. You got the teachers' hands tied because they can't get involved in attacks. They can't separate the children, or they don't want to because they're afraid they're going to get hurt. So what do you do?
Well, that's the absurdity of the whole thing. They've always got an excuse. Listen, I don't care. You have I think, a moral, an ethical, and even a legal obligation to prevent a physical assault, because that's a crime. That's assault and battery at least, at the minimum, and possibly even more. So you're going to tell me a teacher, well, we got to call a school resource officer. Well, where the hell is he? By the time he gets there, that kid may have permanent brain damage, may have a fractured orbital bone, may be seriously injured, impaired for life. So you stand there with your hands in your pocket watching one student assault another student? There should be a standard operating procedure. All the teachers should get other teachers, and they should try to at least mitigate the situation and get an immediate call. I want to see Fall River's plan for things like this, because you're saying we have a 0 tolerance. I want to look at that policy. Let's ask them for the policy and see what they say. If an assault takes place and there's no resource officer in it, are they going to allow that thing to continue, or do they have a plan? Do they have a plan? Teachers then put out the call to the other teachers, whatever. But there has to be a plan. But there's never a plan. You know what the plan is? Build more bricks made of BS, because the chimney's already at the moon. Maybe we can shoot for Mars.
The green cheese, baby. The green cheese. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for watching. Take it very easy this weekend. There's supposed to be a big storm tomorrow. I've heard mainly from most of the local weather forecasters it's going to be rain with heavy winds, 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. So please take it easy. Bring in any of your lawn furniture if you have any out there. Tie things down and take care of yourself. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday.